Hi, my name is Beth Rooney, and I am an agent with eXp. In today's video, I'm going to take you through the different types of brokerages there are, and then I'm going to break down a comparison of eXp to your traditional brokerages. But before I do that, I want to give you a little bit about my background. As I mentioned, I am an agent with eXp. I've been an agent for about 20 years in real estate, and before that, I worked in financial services. When I started my career, I worked at a local small mom and pop shop for a couple of years, and then I went over to Coldwell Banker and I managed offices, and I did sales management of large offices for 15 years. I spent 5 years at Coldwell Banker, first in Milton and then in Newton in the greater Boston area. Both of those offices were large offices with about 80 to 100 agents. From there, I went to work for a large regional firm, another traditional brokerage called William Ravis, where I opened several offices in the greater Boston area. Milton, Newton, I managed their Brookline office. I managed some of their Boston offices. So I have a lot of experience with traditional brokerages. And in that time, I came across a lot of different compensation models as I was recruiting and bringing agents into us. 3 years ago, I left William Ravis. Because of my non-compete, I had to be outside our service area, so I spent some time at a Sotheby's office, 60 miles away from here, and a year and a half ago, I joined eXp. So I have a really deep knowledge of all of these different models, what they provide. Today, I'm going to give you a high-level overview, and then of the different types of models that are out there, and then we're going to compare, as I mentioned, eXp to your traditional brokerage model. And as you can see behind me, I'm going to point out how much you may be leaving on the table. So before I start in on the numbers, I want to talk about the 5 different general types of models that are out there. You could probably break this out into even more categories, but I wanted to talk about the 5 categories. The first one is what I am calling your traditional brokerage model. These are either large national chains or large regional chains. Okay, so they're companies like Coldwell Banker, William Ravis, Sotheby's. They typically, all of those companies all charge a 6% fee, and they typically have a set schedule where you negotiate with the broker and you either qualify at different levels, or some people over time learn that they can negotiate and they get themselves into a contract where they may be at a higher level than they qualify for, or a guaranteed level, something like that. I'm not going to get into what those splits are because that's their private information. But I will tell you that they all charge 6%, and that 6% is just basically taking your split down by 6%. So if you're in an 80% split, you're really at a 74% split. And so do you get some services for that? Yes, they typically have bricks and mortar offices. Those offices typically have somebody sitting in there helping you with your ops, possibly somebody helping with your marketing. They may or may not pay for things like postcards and brochures. They provide some technology. They may or may not pay for that. So those are you're getting some services, but you're getting charged you're on a set schedule with no cap on your split, and you're getting a 6% fee. Now, again, these are general terms. Maybe some agents have negotiated other things like a cap. I don't know, but it's not their general policy to have a cap. So that's your traditional brokerage. The next type of kind of category, what I would call a high split, no cap national chain. Company like a Remax, where you're getting a really high split. You may or may not have a brick and mortar office, and you're paying for everything as you go. You're getting really no services, and there's typically no cap to that. The third kind of category I'm going to call a mom and pop shop. These are your onesie, twosies offices. They might have 2 to 5 to maybe 10 agents, maybe 20, but they don't typically have more than 1 or 2 offices. In my experience, they vary, they could vary greatly, but in my experience, they typically have lower splits to the agent, but they provide a lot of one-on-one kind of service, camaraderie, that kind of thing. And then you have what I call the fourth category would be large franchises, like a Keller Williams. In Keller Williams example, you do have a cap to you'll have a set split, you'll have a cap, but that cap is going to vary franchise by franchise. So it's not set across the country. It really depends which office you join. They do provide a lot of training, but you pay for a lot of that as well. So it's a kind of a pay as you go. You will have a cap, but what your cap is based on is it depends on the franchise you're joining. The fifth kind of category I'm going to call a national high split with a cap, and that is eXp, Real, and there'll be another time when I break down the pros and cons of eXp versus Real and other companies like that. But today's focus is going to be on eXp versus traditional brokerages. And so I thought that I would talk a little bit about what you could be leaving on the table just on comp, let alone everything else. But let's start with that. And that's what I have here behind me. So let's break this down by how much sales you've done. Before I start, I'll just tell you that eXp is everybody in the entire company has the same compensation package. And that is you're at an 80% split until the company earns $16,000 from you. Now, if you're charging 2.5%, whether you're a list agent or a buy agent, that means that your first $3.2 million is at 80%. Once the $16,000 cap has been made, you go to 100% to your next 1 year to the next anniversary. So once you sell 3.2, anything you sell after that is 100%. There are some fees. I've taken those fees into consideration in all of these numbers, and I'm glad to walk you through those on a one-on-one call. The fees are pretty nominal, and the service that you get, I have to say, is fantastic. So that's eXp in a nutshell. Let's compare if you sold $5 million and you were at a traditional company and you had a 70% split, how much you'd be leaving at the table. So that's what this grid behind us shows. So for $5 million, if you were getting a 70% split, that includes a 6% fee, so it's really a 64%, you'd be leaving $23,000 on the table. If you negotiated a 75% split, you'd be leaving $17,000 on the table. At an 80% split with a 6% fee, you could be leaving $11,000 on the table. And if you are selling $5 million at one of these companies and you negotiated an 85% split, I say good for you, but you're still leaving $5,000 on the table. Now, if you did $10 million in an annual sales, and you got a 70% split, well, I'd say you got to look at that contract. It's not great, but you could be leaving $68,000 on the table. If you were at a 75% split, you could be leaving $56,000 on the table. You're likely at an 80% split doing 10 million, and that's still leaving over $43,000 on the table. And if you negotiated off the typical grid and got up to 85%, good for you, but that's still $31,000 that you're leaving on the table. Now, if you did 15 million, I'm not even going to say, there'd be no way you'd be getting 70%. If you were doing 15 million and you're only getting 75%, I'd still find that very shocking, but that's $94,000, and I'd say run, don't walk to another compensation plan. At 80% split, which you could likely be at, that's $76,000. And again, if you negotiated 85, that's almost $60,000 that you are leaving on the table. At $20 million in sales, I didn't even run the numbers at 70. I probably shouldn't have even run them at 75. But at 80%, you're leaving $108,000 on the table. And that is the max that most companies are telling you that they will pay. Now, I know for sure that they negotiate more than 80, even though their compensation plan says that's the max. So if you were able to negotiate 85, that's $84,000. Even if you negotiated 90, it's still a lot of money that you're leaving on the table. And finally, if you did $30 million in sales last year, I'm going to just skip this, and you are at 80%, you just left $173,000 on the table. And if you were able to negotiate it 85%, that's $136,000. The question I have for you is, what did you get for that? $100,000, $108,000. Was the service that terrific? Did they grow your business by that much? That is the question that I think every agent needs to be asking themselves. And I have found time and time again, especially with female agents, that there's this guilt and this draw and like, I have to stay there because my friends are there, and how could I survive without that brand? And I would challenge that mindset. I would challenge that mindset. I would want to ask you to ask yourself, what did I get from that? Will my friends still be my friends? Can I still grow my business? What other tools are out there? There's a lot of tools available. Sending postcards is a very easy thing to do. There's lots of companies that are out there that can do it at the exact same cost that you're doing. Creating listing brochures and beautiful materials, easy to do. Thank you, Canva. Thank you. All the resources that are out there are easy to use. Coming from somebody that's not technically, you can see how bad my handwriting is. I'm not a marketing guru. It's easy to do this, and eXp provides you all of that, all of those same exact tools in an easy way, easy to use format. The other thing that I would say is, how are these companies thinking about your long-term growth? The one thing I've learned at eXp is that if you only focus on traditional sales, and you're starting the slate clean every single January, eXp does a phenomenal job of helping you build passive income to supplement your transaction business. So how do they do that? Well, they do that by doing something called revenue sharing. So if you bring people into the company, you get forever a piece of their business. And if they bring somebody in, you get a piece of their business too. It's pretty phenomenal, and it's how the business has grown to be the #1 brokerage in the country. And those splits are very generous. For that $16,000 that goes to the company, they set aside half of that to pay for revenue share. And so you can make a lot of money, and you can make money that becomes quite passive and recurring as you grow your team. It's more than that, though. It's this mindset of helping you to supplement your income with other ways to grow your business. So revenue share and agent attraction is one, but they do things like, if you are a real estate investor, you get 3 free transactions. I think it cost me $250. I did several transactions. I used all 3 of my freebies last year. Whether it's your primary home or an investment, you get 3 free transactions a year, meaning that you only owe the company $250. So you can list your property, you can represent yourself as a buyer's agent, and that is, again, supplementing this mindset of how can we help you do more than just traditional real estate sales, so that you can create some passive income, so you're not starting with a clean slate every January. That is a major, major difference in mindset, something that I didn't really even think about as a manager in these traditional offices, but I've become very grateful for, and I've learned so much through eXp and my upline. Specifically, Amy Gregory, this is a third way. She really teaches you how to take your knowledge on real estate and turn it into ways that you can make money through coaching, through selling your selling your expertise, digital, online digital kind of marketing that you can sell. She's done a tremendous job herself building a career like this, and she's very, very open about how she's done it and how she can help you. So just a very different mindset if you think about starting your January 1st every year with a clean slate and only income being your traditional sales versus all the support for your traditional sales. But I just named 3 different ways, and there are many, many more to add other sources of income to your bottom line so that you have some type of a financial future ahead of you. In addition to that, you get stock options. So I already have thousands of dollars in eXp stock that in just the past 15 months I've been able to get, and that you earn those through your first transaction. You can put some of your own money towards it. As you build your team, anytime somebody joins under you, you get stock options. So there's lots of different ways to again, supplement your income. So that is just a high level. I wanted to share these numbers with you. I would be more than happy to help you if you're thinking about making a change. I'm glad to give you more information on eXp. I'm glad to just talk to you in general. In the notes here, I will put my email address, which is Beth@BethRooney&Co. I'll keep my cell phone there, which is 617-922-2547. Reach out to me. I'd love to talk more about this. This is just a brief overview. I have a calculator that I will provide you so you can run your own numbers and see for yourself how much you may be leaving on the table. Thank you.